The Korean War. The Korean War lasted from 1950 to 1953. It was a struggle for the control of the entire Korean peninsula. During this war, over 2.5 million people died. Over half of these deaths were civilian deaths. From 1910 to 1945, Korea was under the control of Japan. In 1945, Japanese troops surrendered. Because Japan was in control of Korea for so long, Korea had no government of its own to fall back on. This led to tensions. The Soviet Union and the United States agreed to separate Korea at the 38th parallel in 1945, Soviets in control of the North and the United Nations in control of the South. Americans thought that this was not permanent. However, the two sides never agreed on a plan to bring Korea together again. Before the war started, the United States had pulled most of its troops out of South Korea. Because of this, the Soviet Union thought that the United States would not guard South Korea if it was attacked. To prepare North Korea to attack, the Soviet Union gave them supplies and troops. The first attack on South Korea was on June 25, 1950. In this attack, North Korea was able to cross the 38th parallel and advance far into South Korea. On June 27th, President Truman commanded American troops in Japan to help South Korea. South Korea already had around 600,000 troops. Around 500,000 additional troops from UN nations were sent to support South Korea. All of these troops were commanded by General Douglas MacArthur. Before MacArthur led a counterattack, the North Korean army had taken over almost all of Korea. His troops attacked from Incheon and Pusan. This attack sent North Korean troops retreating. It even made it possible for South Korea to be in control of almost all of Korea. China felt threatened because South Korean troops were almost to the Korea-China border, and because of the fleet of American ships near their coast. Because of this, China sent around 300,000 troops to help North Korea fight. With the help of China, North Korean troops were able to push back South Korean troops to the 38th parallel by April 1951. The war would have been won by South Korea if China had not stepped in to help North Korea. MacArthur suggested to President Truman that an attack on China was necessary to win the war. President Truman rejected this idea because he thought that it could potentially start another world war. MacArthur was not happy with the president's decision. After Truman shot down MacArthur's plan, MacArthur was angry. He started to publicly criticize Truman. Truman was not happy with MacArthur, so he decided to fire him. Most Americans were outraged by Truman's decision. In June 1951, the Soviet Union suggested a ceasefire. In July 1953, an armistice was signed. This armistice formed a demilitarized zone at the 38th parallel, and it brought the Korean War to an end. Since no side had gained any land, this war was considered to be a stalemate.